Mediation in Texas is an alternative dispute resolution process. It is a process that most courts require prior to going into a temporary orders hearing or the final trial. It is a process where you go to a trained mediator who is the kind of go-between person that will help you realize the pros and cons of going to trial and help the two parties try to negotiate a final settlement. The nice thing about mediation is it puts you in control of what happens. If you go into court, you're asking a stranger to base the rest of your life, your children's lives, while they're with you, property division, everything that you have, you're asking a stranger to decide that based on a snapshot of your lives heard by the person that's telling the worst possible thing that they can about the other person. So mediation puts you in control. And I would say probably at least 90% of cases settle in mediation. Speeds up the process. Once you get a mediated settlement agreement, it cannot be changed. The courts have no power to change that. So neither side can change their mind after, and that just becomes the final order of the court, and that settles the whole case. So when you hear the term litigation, that is the process of going to trial. Is the preparation for trial, we call that pre-litigation, so that's going to be gathering all the information that we need. And then when you go to trial, that's the actual litigation of a case. Opposite of that is mediation, which is a process that's very informal, where the parties will try to reach an agreement on what happens with their children, with their property, and any kind of fault grounds or anything that's happening in the divorce. Mediation agreements usually occur much quicker than trials. Trials are going to be a lot more stressful, and you're asking a court or a judge to decide what happens with your property and your children based on just a brief snapshot of the worst possible facts presented in the case. Mediation puts you in control of what happens. So I get asked a lot how much a divorce is going to cost. And of course, in a typical lawyer fashion, it depends. If we go to trial, what I typically see in a cost for the preparation and going through all the steps, you're looking probably $50,000 is not an unusual amount. Mediation occurs much earlier in the course of the whole case, and will probably reduce that significantly by at least half or more. So it's a process, depending on how early it goes, we go through mediation, will depend on how much that actually costs. But it does significantly reduce the cost to attend mediation and get a settlement. In Texas, mediation is greatly encouraged. The few cases that aren't sent to mediation by courts typically involve severe domestic violence. If one party is in a situation where they've been involved with physical, severe mental domestic violence, then an attorney can petition the court and ask them to waive the mediation requirement based on those facts. And the courts will waive mediation in those situations. If you're facing divorce and you want to know more information about the difference between litigation and mediation, just reach out to us at the Boswell Law Firm, where we provide peace in the chaos.